Hello everyone, and welcome back to Fallout 76 for another round of legendary crafting. Some of you joined me for a live stream this week where I built the new Fisty's Discount Murder Mart on Xbox, and here we're going to sell lots of different weapons for cheap, mostly fixers. So today we're going to go through and we're going to craft another 10 or 11 fixers, depending on how Super Duper works out for us. As always, we'll talk about what makes them good, what makes them bad, or what makes them in between. And if you like videos like this, do go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment, follow me on Twitter. There's always a lot more to come on the channel, from more script and legendary crafting videos to lore to live streams. I honestly never know what's coming next. I change my mind on all kinds of things all the time. So subscribe so you can find out. Anyway, let's get into it here. We're going to craft up some fixers and see what we can get. And our first roll of the day, is an anti-armor, replenishing action points with each kill and extra agility. So this is a really solid roll, especially for a full health build who maybe doesn't want to make a ton of sacrifices in their character build. Anti-armor is great, especially as you go up against tougher enemies. You'll start to see that the dividends pay off a little more there because they have a lot more armor to ignore. So attacking higher strength, better armored enemies will yield better results from this weapon when you compare that to like something like a ghoul that doesn't have a lot of armor. So very good roll. Replenishing action points with each kill is going to be a big help if you're a VATS build, and extra agility will give you a little more AP to use in VATS. So this is a really, really solid roll here. There's not much more to say about it than that, other than the fact that it's really good. So this is a great fixer. Let's see what's next. And now we've got a Hunters with VATS critical shots doing more damage, and again, extra agility. So this one's not as great. The Hunter's effect, to me, is one of the least useful of the situational damage effects. You get an extra 50% damage to animals. So for the most part, I don't really see you keeping a special weapon just for that. Now, the Scorchbeast Queen does count as an animal. So if you don't have anything that does a lot of damage to the Scorchbeast Queen, then maybe you keep something like this until you have something better. Pairing that with VATS critical shots doing more damage and extra agility, again, will synergize well with those VATS builds. So you could do worse than this. You could definitely do worse. It's not one of my favorite effects, but there are uses for it. This is more of a middle-of-the-road weapon when you're somewhere between level 50 and level 100 and you don't have a ton of great gear. This one could be a good solid roll for somebody like that. So it'll end up in my vending machine for cheap, and hopefully somebody in that mid-level range will grab it and have some fun with it for a while until they can do something better. Awesome. So far, no disasters. Let's see what's next. And this one we've got damage increased after, okay, so it's Furious, damage increased after each consecutive hit on the same target, with bashing damage and a VATS critical meter that fills 15% faster. So as far as the primary effect goes, the Furious effect is not a bad one to have on a weapon like this, especially for things like boss fights. Now, where this one kind of loses some of its luster is if you're going after just general farming targets. If you've got a good stealth commando build and you're doing headshots in VATS and you're doing your VATS criticals and all those things, very few targets are going to live longer than 3 shots. So even if you're running full health. So you're not really going to max out the benefits of this, which for the life of me, I can't remember if it's 5% on each shot or 10% on each shot, but it maxes out at 50% damage. So on your squishy things that die in 2 or 3 shots, you're not really going to get anything out of this. You get a little something, it's better than nothing, but it's not great. Where it's really going to pay off is big tanky enemies like Scorch Beasts, Behemoths, things that you're going to be dumping a lot of ammo into. That's where you're going to start to see something like this pay off. The bashing damage effect, unless it's a shredding barrel minigun, is completely worthless on everything. VATS critical meter filling faster is certainly helpful. Doesn't hurt to have it, but I think with this combo, it's definitely leaving some things on the table, so probably not super desirable. Let's go ahead and roll another one and see if we can do a little better. And okay, this one we've got Nocturnal with damage while aiming and extra perception. So the Nocturnal effect a few months back got a nice little buff. It used to be the case that during the day, Nocturnal weapons did less damage than a normal weapon does. That's bad. Nobody liked that, and that meant nobody ever used them, so they got rid of that. There's no more negative to it. It still gradually increases with the night, but it's quicker than it used to be. So the damage buff you get from Nocturnal is pretty solid. I don't know the exact percentage, but I believe that it's around 75–80%. Someone in the comments, I'm sure, can correct me with an exact number there, but I believe it is not as good as Bloodied, but better than 50%, which kind of pigeonholes it right in that 75–80% range. So if someone knows out there, feel free to chime in the comments and let us know. So it's definitely a lot better than it was, but it still only gives you a buff half the time. Extra damage while aiming certainly doesn't hurt if you are going for a manual aim build. You're not a big VATS user, then you can definitely get a little bit of mileage out of that. That gives you a nice little buff during the day. So it gives you a little something when you don't have the Nocturnal effect. And then when you do, it gives you additional damage. Extra perception, well, that's really going to help with your VATS accuracy. So kind of counterintuitive to the rest of the weapon, but I guess it doesn't hurt anything to have it, so it's not too bad. If you really want a Nocturnal weapon, this one isn't bad, and the fixer is it's thematically appropriate for a Nocturnal weapon because it's designed for stealth. That's the whole point of the fixer. You get improved stealth, faster movement speed while sneaking, which is kind of a lie because really if you have Speed Demon, you're not seeing that. But it's all about sneak. So when are you sneakier than at night, right? So not a bad roll, not an amazing roll. My mind is not blown. Let's see what's next. And we've got another Nocturnal fixer. Okay, but this one, not as good. This one has the last shot effect where the last round in our magazine has a 25% chance to deal double damage and extra agility. We just talked about Nocturnal at length, so I think we get the point of that. But the last shot effect, not one of my favorites. This one, on some weapons that have really small magazines, maybe you get something out of that. But on a weapon like this where you're holding 25 rounds of ammo, a 1 in 4 chance to do double damage on the last shot in that magazine is really, really skimpy. So I just don't think you're going to see it very often, and that's assuming that you actually consume all the ammo in the magazine. Most of us don't do that. Usually, you fire your weapon until you have a pause, and then you reload. So most players are probably never going to see the bottom of a magazine in a fixer. Or at least if they do, it's going to be very rare. So really not an effect that's going to give you a whole lot to get excited about. Extra agility will help with your VATS accuracy, but that's kind of the extent of it. Just in case anyone's wondering about the look of some of these, I made some of them look unique just so I can hang them on the wall and make them look different. So certainly don't recommend using a fixer without a suppressor. But here's our next one, and it's Junkies. Junkies isn't bad. Junkies is pretty darn good. So that's not a bad effect at all. We'll get a 50% damage buff, assuming we've got 5 addictions. And if you play your cards right with your addictions, you can get yourself addicted to things that you want to use all the time. Things like Psycho, that, you know, you can just stockpile and give yourself extra damage buffs when convenient. So you can kind of combine that with other things to really maximize how effective a Junkies build can be. Extra limb damage, I'm not super excited about here on this weapon. Kind of like we talked about with Furious, most things are going to be dead in a couple of shots. And those shots come really fast. So I don't really see the point of limb damage here. Sure, I guess it helps on things like the Scorch Beast Queen, but you can also run perks like Tormentor that are way more effective. So you really just don't get anything out of limb damage here. Maybe you cripple a limb on your enemy, but they're dead before they figure it out. So yeah, you know, pretty anticlimactic there. Hits have a chance to generate a stealth field isn't bad, but meh. Not really doing a whole lot for you on a weapon as sneaky as a fixer. And now our next role is a Mutant Slayers with damage while aiming and less VATS AP cost. Mutant Slayers to me is one of the most useful of these situational damage effects. Killing super mutants is a very, very popular and profitable activity in Fallout 76. They give you the best bang for your buck when it comes to XP. They drop weapons that give you useful components when you scrap them for ammo. They drop caps, they can drop gunpowder. There's all kinds of good stuff that comes out of super mutants when you shoot them full of bullets. So it makes all kinds of sense to have a weapon that's good at killing super mutants. So here again though, this is more of a mid-level player weapon. 50 to 100 where you're not fully kitted out with your gear yet. This is something you can use to help your character level up and be pretty effective with that. So probably not, you know, if you're in your 300s and you've got a bloodied fixer, you're not going to run around with this, but somebody that doesn't have all those can get a lot of mileage out of a weapon like this. The extra damage while aiming effect, that's not bad. I would think the fixer works better in VATS personally, but hey, that's up to you. If you want to go with something where you shoot it manually, you've got that. 25% less VATS AP cost is counterintuitive to that. It doesn't really synergize, but it does give you kind of an either-or scenario, so I guess that's not too bad. But yeah, so not bad. I've got to kill something that's eating my house. Where'd it go? Let's go find it. Let's go find the something that's eating my house. It's a wolf. Okay, wolf, stop eating my house now. I mean, I understand that radiation does funny things to you, but houses are not delicious, especially ones made out of rusty old corrugated metal. I'm not really sure why you were eating my house or why you wanted to eat my house, but you know, you're making too much noise and we have a stream to do, or a video to make. So yeah, go away now. All right, let's try another one here. What else can we do? We'll get that Atom Shop paint off of there so we can easily sell it. Oh, this one we're not going to sell. This one I'm going to keep. Here we've got vampires with faster fire rate and 25% less VATS AP cost. And there's something else trying to eat my house. Let's go kill the something trying to eat my house again, and then we'll talk about this weapon. All right, heading back outside. Something else trying to eat the damn house. Where you at? There you are, okay. Oh, you got a buddy coming too. All right, well, you got to go too, sorry. Sorry, you know, I really don't like killing the wolves and dogs in Fallout 76, but they're making a lot of noise, and that's just very inconvenient right now. So, where is the one we just got? I think that was it. Let's find it here. Yes, there it is, and there's my ally. There's Gramps in his Pioneer Scout uniform. So yes, here we have a vampire's faster fire rate, less VATS AP cost fixer. I don't know, Gramps, can you handle those wolves on your own? Yeah, it sounds like he's got them. All right, now what makes this weapon great? So the vampire's effect. Awesome primary effect. To me, it's second only to bloodied, and that is a really close second. As a low health player, I can run a vampire's weapon and still do really well damage-wise because of all the other things, the perks and mutations that synergize with being low health. So running a vampire's weapon helps me stay alive during things like daily ops, during things like big boss fights. Sometimes it's better to err on the side of survivability than doing tons of damage. Sometimes it's not. It depends on the role you're trying to play. But for me, the vampire's effect can be extremely useful. 25% faster fire rate is going to increase our DPS overall with the weapon, so that's fantastic. And 25% less VATS AP cost means I'm going to be able to keep dumping ammo through this thing in VATS, get lots of VATS criticals before I run out of AP. So it makes it a really, really powerful weapon that's just perfect for my build. Somebody on the stream the other night brought me a bloodied faster fire rate fixer, which I didn't have on Xbox, and now, thankfully, I do. But now I've got a vampires to go along with it, so that is absolutely fantastic. Let's get back in here. We've got a few more we can craft. Looks like we've got 3 more we can do. Let's see if we can improve this one. Can we fix this fixer? Well, not this time. This one's a total dud. We've got extra damage to mirelurks and bugs, which can be helpful, I suppose, but there's just so few scenarios where you're attacking mirelurks and bugs that it would make any sense to carry around a special weapon for it. Again, if you're that mid-level player who doesn't have a legendary fixer, and this is the one you end up with, well, it's better than nothing. So sure, why not use it for a little while? It's not trash, but you're going to get another one at some point, and odds are whatever you pick up is going to be better than this. We've got limb damage again, which, like we talked about, not very useful on a weapon like this, and extra agility. So if you are using it in VATS, you'll get a little more AP while you're using it. That certainly doesn't hurt, but it's not enough to keep this one around any longer than is absolutely necessary. So yeah, not super exciting. Can we improve another one? Let's find another fixer to fix. Looks like 2 left. And let's see, get rid of the Atomic Shop paint for easy selling, and we'll fix you with 3 stars. And this one's kind of meh. Arguably, we'll see. So this one's medics. So VATS criticals will heal you and your group. Not as good as vampires. Definitely not as good as vampires. If you have a build that gets you a lot of VATS criticals, then that can be useful, but I'd certainly much rather see vampires than medics. Limb damage, again, no more useful here than it is on the other ones. And 250 damage resistance while reloading. This is another one of those perks that it doesn't really hurt to have it. If there's ever a time when it helps to have some extra damage resistance, it's while you're defenseless and reloading. Unfortunately, that's really a very short period of time, so I'm just not sure how useful that really is, especially on a stealthy weapon where chances are you're hidden when you're using it and nothing is shooting at you anyway. So yeah, this one, I don't want to call it bad because the medic's effect can be useful, but the rest of it just doesn't really do anything exciting for me. All right, one more try, and this one is, yeah, not super exciting either. I think we got all the exciting in the Vampire's faster fire rate fixer that I'm very happy with, but this one, definitely not as exciting. Here we've got extra damage to humans, 25% damage while aiming, and faster movement speed while aiming. So why don't I love this one? Because of the Assassin's effect, the damage to humans. There's not a lot of PvP that happens in Fallout 76 at this point. So I don't really see what you're getting out of that other than extra damage to human NPCs, but human NPCs are super squishy, so not really very useful there. Extra damage while aiming, that's a nice little buff if you've got nothing else going on. Faster movement speed while aiming. If you don't have the speed demon mutation, then I guess you get a little something out of that, but if you do, then you don't. So this makes this another good candidate for that mid-level player who doesn't have a full build, doesn't have a lot going on in the way of gear. This is kind of one of those weapons where they can grab this, use it for 10, 20, 30 levels maybe until they get something better. So it's not total garbage. There is a use case for this. It's just not going to be a long-term one. But yeah, so sadly, didn't end on a high note, but we definitely got a couple of really interesting pieces today. We started with the AntiArmor. We got the Vampire's faster fire rate. There were a couple others in there that were kind of okay, and they'll fill up my vending machine just fine. And I'm sure someone will grab them for a very cheap price and hopefully get a little bit of mileage out of them themselves. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to do it for today's video. Thank you for joining me while we crafted some legendary fixers and killed things that were trying to eat my house. I do hope I see you all next time. Remember, if you like videos like this, do go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment, follow me on Twitter. You can now also follow me on Instagram at fisty_McRib. You can feel free to do that. But other than that, I'm all out of things to talk about. We got nothing else to do. Thank you again for joining me. I hope I see you all next time. Till then, I'm Fisty McRib.